Man, it is a beautiful day today. I'm Matt, and this is Freys on the Side. And today we're going to spend a little time outside installing my Midland two-way radio in my 2012 Jeep Wrangler. Stay tuned. Okay, so one of the first steps is to try to do a little brainstorm where everything is going to end up for this radio. So I've got to mount both kind of the receiver, I guess is what you would call this, so the receiver end, and ultimately the mic. So they actually make a pretty nice little bracket, and I'll link to this bracket down below. But anyways, this slips in between the passenger grab bar, and that allows a kind of a nice place for the mic to rest. So that being the case, I'd like to have the receiver on this side, probably mounted down somewhere in this area. So I already did a little investigation on this, and I popped this little shroud off, and again, it's pretty easy to pop off. And then right in this area, there's a T30 screw. So I'm going to use that screw to make an aluminum bracket that I can use to mount this receiver somewhat at an angle. So I think that's kind of where everything's going to set, and then I'll end up running the wires kind of back through. In my case, I have an sPod, and I'm going to hook it up to the sPod power, and that'll allow me to kick it on, and even if the engine is off, I've got a secondary battery that I can still have comms and things like that. So I think that's the way I'd like to set it up. And then the antenna, I'm going to actually run up through the firewall as well. And then they make a little mount that hooks kind of on the hood, and it's a pretty low profile antenna. So that's kind of the overall game plan. So next I'll show you the aluminum bracket. All right, so I went down to the local hardware store and I bought a piece of flat stock aluminum. I think this is 1/2 inch wide. And I basically bent the two legs up, I would say probably at like 30 degrees, 40 degrees. So I bent that up. Don't mind this hole, that's actually a mistake, but this is the hole that will actually mount to that factory T30 bolt that I had pulled out. And then these two holes will ultimately hold the bracket for the Midland receiver. So that'll sit on there like this, if you can start to envision this. And then I bought just number 6 1/2 inch screws with pan heads, and I actually countersunk the top of the aluminum. So this will go through here. I got some locking nuts that will be put on here, so I'll do that piece, and you can kind of envision how that'll sit in there. But I'll move the camera down, I'll get this mounted up, and you guys can see what that looks like. Okay, so pull the plastic piece up. Here is where I took out that T30 screw right here. This is another little piece of plastic. I'm actually going to slide the bracket. So this is with the Midland bracket attached to this piece of aluminum. I actually slide this between here. Okay, so now that it's actually pretty sturdy, I'm gonna just dry fit this receiver in there, Midland receiver. That's actually pretty nice. So really, I just gotta hook up the mic bracket, and then the mic plugs in. That's pretty easy. And then the antenna and the power, as I said before, I'm actually going to take that through the firewall, through the firewall, and hook everything up underneath the hood. All right, next I'm going to work on installing the mic brackets up here. So deceiving as it is, it's probably not the best way to take it out, but yeah. So it's they're not real deals. And then basically it's a bolt in here. I'm gonna get my ratchet. I take in a 8 mil, I believe, and there is 2 screws. Okay, so now that this piece is off, the next deal is this. That's right. So you take these 2 pieces of metal and put those on, and then basically just put this right back in place. Okay, so now I got to take the antenna and basically a hot and neutral, or positive and negative, power line through the firewall of the Jeep. So I just ran a little kind of a pull wire. I'm going to tape this to this and pull it through the firewall, and then I'll land these 2 wires in the sPod on positive and negative, and then the antenna will end up resting in here with a little antenna on this side right here. So basically I just got to pull this wire through, connect it to the receiver inside, and that's really it. Well, I have to admit, I struggled a bit pulling that antenna and the power lines through the firewall, and that honestly probably took me the longest out of this whole install, and largely because I have a lot of other stuff going through there. So that took me a little bit to get through that, but I got it through, tidied up all the wires, basically came through the firewall. I did have a lot of antenna wire, extra antenna wire, so I put it at the bottom of the glove box, coiled it up nice, and placed that in there. Put the power again, tidied that all up, tied it to my sPod. All this is done. So really it's a moment of truth. So again, I don't need to turn on the power because I've got it hooked up to my sPod. So if I hit my switch,
it was cloudy. It was 57 at Medford, 59 at Marshfield,
nice,
at Wisconsin Rapids, and 58 at Stevens Point.
So it works like a champ, and this is really convenient right here to grab as you're driving. Super convenient, and having this down here I think is going to be a really nice place for it. So all in all, a pretty good install. Thanks for watching.